one of my books. At the moment, we are building the Ark from the Stolen Futures universe. As you can see from the beginnings of this video, I've added a few things since the last one. I'm trying to set the boundaries of the Ark, which is a giant spaceship that appears in the Stolen Futures series. So while my avatar builds this next section, let me tell you about the world the series is set in. I'm using these videos not only to record the construction of the Ark and other things from my various books, but also to world build. I'll be speaking over my Minecrafter as they build and filling you in with details about the universe this story, Stolen Futures, is set in. I'll also talk about the lives of the main characters before they stepped onto the giant alien spaceship and fled the planet as the sole surviving members of the human race. Now, the universe of the Stolen Futures books is set in the late 2030s, and the action kicks off when the Ark, presumed to be a meteorite at first, enters our solar system. So, what is the world like almost 20 years into the future? I am recording this in 2020. Well, much like the last 20 years, the first 20 years of the 21st century, technology has advanced at a huge rate. On a happy note, this has meant that global warming has been offset significantly. AI has been created, but is heavily regulated to prevent a Terminator or Matrix-style event. AI has vastly speeded up technological progress. It made possible moon landings and missions to Mars. And I must report that this far into the future, much of our problems still persist. Borders have not changed significantly. However, new technologies have made things a little bit easier and solved a few problems. Places like the USA have implemented universal basic income and Medicare for all, finally. And America has a new political party. The Democrats are a minor party, and so are the Republicans. Britain is still out of Europe, and is now permanently out of Europe in the late 2030s, but Scotland, Wales and Ireland are now fully in the EU. But overall, England is slightly happier with its lot in life, now they no longer feel the need to be the world's policeman. Also, some global warming has made England a nicer place to holiday, so it has a booming tourist industry. Europe is an economic powerhouse, and after a revolution in Russia, that country has joined the EU. China is a little less totalitarian in the late 2030s than it is right now. This has been due to a mass hack by cyber activists who managed to bypass all of China's censor blocks on their internet. A huge amount of truth, cultural and historical information flooded the Chinese internet, and the Chinese people were unhappy about being lied to and controlled by the Communist Party. The Communist Party went a reshuffle, and a new China emerged, where criticism of the government is still highly discouraged, but there is greater freedom of speech, and overall much better place to live and speak your mind. Places like North Korea are still run by despots. The Middle East is in better shape, since new energy-producing technologies meant oil stopped being of any use, and that caused old Middle Eastern governments to collapse and new ones to take their place, which adopted the new renewable energy and also new tech industries. The Third World is still the Third World, but after America adopted something like universal basic income, other smaller nations called for it too. And while billionaires still exist, thankfully there are less of them, and wealth is being spread around much more. All in all, 20 years into the future, I've created a world for Stolen Futures which is more optimistic, and a burgeoning space age is now firmly within our grasp. And we want to spread out through the solar system, and we feel that the world is overall a better place than it is at this point in history. And into all of this, I throw in the Ark to really muck stuff up. Now, from this point, I'm going to reveal some information in the books, so please go read them first, so this will make sense, and also so I'm not spoiling anything for you. Have you gone and read them? Excellent. Let's continue. Now, this is going to be in-world information now. All made up, obviously, but it's the situation when the Ark enters the solar system. The Ark was detected 6 months before it slammed into planet Earth. It appeared as a meteorite on our satellites, entering the edge of the solar system just a bit past Pluto. Originally, its projected path took it close to our moon, missing Earth entirely, and the world breathed a sigh of relief. So it became a sort of low-key media event. Schools used it as a teaching aid, and yes, flat earthers who are still around still continued to insist that it would hit the Earth and shatter, I guess, the disk that they believe the Earth is. Thankfully, none of that is true. As the ship neared and telescopes could get a more accurate picture of the vessel, it appeared as a comet rather than a meteorite, a big ball of ice. And although we know that the Ark is a spaceship, the ice it had accumulated over a long period in deep space made it look like a comet. And later on, scientists who discovered it as a ship would speculate that the Ark was purposely camouflaged with ice by those who sent it. Who knows? Maybe that'll come up in future books. Let's take a quick pause and concentrate on what our avatar is doing. I'm very sorry that the rendering is very poor. I was a very early student of Minecraft when I started making these videos, but thankfully I've learned a lot more since then, and I've increased the rendering on the video, better backgrounds. I'm even going to transport everything that I will build on this flat world into a real world, so it looks a bit more like the Ark did slam into Iceland. Apologies to any Icelandic people watching. I did not choose your country to throw the Ark into because I don't like you. I love Iceland. This just seemed to fit the narrative of the story, but I apologise nonetheless. Okay, let's get back to the in-world universe building. Although I will say that what my avatar is doing, what I am doing, is sort of marking out in tens so that I know exactly how to space everything out, because I don't want to start building and then things don't meet up later on. So back to the story. The comet, which we always thought it was a comet, drifted by the moon just as it was supposed to, and everyone watched it. It was a big news event. People were training their telescopes on it because this was one of the largest, closest comets to ever come near Earth. And this is when the comet started to reveal itself as maybe something more than a big ball of ice, because it did a right turn at the moon and headed straight for Earth. Immediately panic ensued, and because it now appeared as if the comet would strike Earth, as feared. Governments attempted to find nukes at the comet, however, due to the fact that they had not had enough time to prep or calculate proper trajectories, most of the nukes missed, and those that did hit basically did nothing. Iceland was known to be the target as the comet entered the atmosphere, and a rapid evacuation of Iceland began. This was relatively easy since the country is so sparsely populated. However, riots, looting and chaos occurred across the planet, since it was still assumed that even though the comet was going to strike Iceland, it was so big, the damage it would do would destroy everything on Earth. And of course people did chaotic things, as they would when they thought it was the end of the world. The Ark disappeared from cameras and watching satellites as it entered the atmosphere and struck up close to the North Pole. There was a blinding flash. Experts assumed that this was the flash of the explosion. However, the flash was actually created by a shield around the ship. This shield is specially designed to absorb all the energy of the impact of the Ark hitting a planet. Kind of like how Captain America's shield absorbs all the energy of a bullet, preventing it from piercing the shield. Or Bishop from the X-Men, who absorbed energy, or the androids in Dragon Ball Z. Rather than let the energy of the impact tear up continents or vaporize the oceans, the shield sucks in all that energy into itself. This allows the vessel to pierce a planet and use that energy to recharge its own engines, as the energy is redirected into the engines of the vessel to be stored for later. The bright light is a side effect of the shield absorbing so much energy that it flares as it attempts to take it all in as rapidly as possible. The shield exists, possibly to prevent the ship from being destroyed by landing in such a destructive manner, or to make sure it didn't destroy the planet it was here to take water from. If the Ark had just slammed into the planet normally, it probably would have boiled the oceans or contaminated all the water, making it useless to those who wanted the Ark to steal it all. Once the bright light from the kinetic shield died down, people were surprised not to find a crater or the result of an explosion, unlike any that had happened on Earth before, and instead they found themselves looking at an alien spaceship parked on our planet like a large black mountain that reached high into the upper atmosphere. The shield and landing had completely shed the ice that had accumulated around the vessel, revealing its dark surface, punctuated by pockets of purple light. The planet reeled at such a revelation. For some, the fact that an alien vessel had landed on Earth in such a terrific manner raised all sorts of questions. Where did it come from? What was it here to do? How come it had not communicated with us before arriving? For a day, it just sat on Iceland, right in the rift valley, which it had separated a bit more. Magma rose around the vessel, giving it the appearance of Barad-dûr, that giant, Sauron's giant house in Mordor in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Navies from around the world approached the island, and Air Forces also joined. The vessel did nothing but sit in its bath of magma. Then, finally, the Ark opened up ports on all sides and on its roof. Chimneys wide enough to swallow skyscrapers and pipes the width of the world's serpent from Norse mythology reached out of the vessel. The pipes splashed into the sea around Iceland and sought out the deepest parts of the seas and oceans. Some of these pipes appeared to malfunction and went to areas to get water which would have been considered difficult or inefficient to do so. The Ark was too small to have pipes that could reach around the world. The longest pipe was reported on the tip of South America. In another video, I'll talk about the range of consequences of these pipes, as well as ones from the destroyer. Once extended, they immediately started sucking up water. Whirlpools like those you'd find in a kitchen sink after you pulled the plug appeared around the Atlantic Ocean, and one in the Mediterranean Sea. Water was sucked up at a phenomenal degree. It was even noted that the world's sea level dropped a few centimetres due to the Ark's overall actions. Every government watching agreed that the Ark should not be allowed to suck up all the water, even though it was too small to suck up all the water on Earth. That was not an excuse to let it try. A North Korean vessel was the first to fire on the Ark, launching all its rockets, which did no damage. Then the other navies took aim and fired too. All the conventional weapons failed. They didn't even leave a scratch on the Ark's surface, and the sky was filled with the contour trails of many, many missiles. The hull of the Ark is tens of meters thick and made out of a metal unlike anything on Earth. Some missiles damaged the chimneys and the pipes, but the Ark had plenty in reserve. In the end, it was agreed that a nuclear weapon would be used, and at that time, the nation with the biggest nuclear weapon was Russia, which had an old Tsar bomber, which is the biggest nuke ever made. It still held from the Cold War period. It was dropped onto the Ark, and it exploded with a force of 58 megatons of TNT, which, to put that in a term we can probably all understand, it created a miniature sun for a few seconds that was 8 kilometers across above Iceland. It was so powerful that the shockwave prevented the actual explosion from touching the ground. That explosion vaporized some of the chimneys on top of the Ark and scarred the upper hull, partially melting it. However, it was believed that the Ark switched on its shield a few seconds into the explosion and absorbed all the energy from that nuclear weapon, preventing its total destruction. This is backed up by the fact that there was very little radiation contamination in the surrounding areas of Iceland. It seemed the shield had absorbed that too. Finally, it was discovered a way to destroy the Ark, or at least shut it down, was accidentally discovered when a German vessel was unfortunate enough to get sucked into one of the pipes somewhere in the English Channel. The ship travelled down the pipe, unfortunately killing all hands on board, but then exploded about halfway down the pipe just off the coast of Iceland. And it was realised that maybe dropping bombs into the pipes might get them sent into the vessel's core and destroy it from within. Plenty of conventional weapons were dropped into every pipe on timers, and the Ark seemed incapable of stopping them or preventing them from entering the ship. The chimneys stopped sucking in air first, and instead started issuing smoke from within, indicating that the explosions had done some damage. Then all of humanity celebrated as the Ark shut down and stopped taking in water. The enemy had been defeated. Okay, I'm going to stop there with background information, and in the next video we'll talk about what happened after the Ark was taken out of commission. Thanks for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. More videos will be released soon, including something I've called Honest Movie News, and maybe I'll get around to doing something for my What If series. And as always, Minecraft videos too. Let's just take a quick check with my avatar. Looks like he's just tidying up. Oh no, here comes another line of black stone. At this point I've almost finished laying out the boundaries. I wish I could show you that whole layout, but at the moment the rendering of this particular video is a bit lackluster. But don't worry, that will improve in the future. At least I remembered to put daylight on constantly so you can see everything and we don't have such a dark video. Let's see. Oh yes, he's filling it in, adding more blocks. Some of these videos aren't just going to be from this bird's eye view either. Some of them will be done from essentially behind the eyes of my Minecraft avatar, so you can see it from his perspective. I've chosen this particular skin of my avatar because it actually matches a character from the book called Antumbra, who is sort of made of black energy and does have 2 glowing spots for eyes. But you have to read the book to learn more about her. Okay, gonna let the video play out. So yeah, I hope you're enjoying. If you've read The Stolen Futures, I hope you've enjoyed the book so far. Don't forget the sequel is out, Present Danger. I'm working on the 3rd and 4th books to the series right now. And in a way, I suppose I should say these videos are kind of sponsored by my books, but also check out the other books made by Spaceboy Books. Lots of great science fiction. That's what Spaceboy Books is dedicated to. And there's so much there that's just good fun. Some really, really interesting and original plots. Yeah, I think my avatar's definitely finished. I tend to do this at the end of all videos. I tend to go up high and try to observe what I've just created. And yep, there we go. Oh, you can just about make them out. And off they go to get a good bird's eye view of the whole, all that marking out I've done. And as the video comes to an end, I hope I remember to try and give you this bird's eye view. Let's see. Just sky, sky, sky at the moment, which I apologise for. Okay, I'm going to stop talking, and I'm sure the video will end soon. And yeah, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. This is going to be such a big project. It's going to take ages to get it out there. And yeah, it will look better soon. Especially when I start building up the signs of this giant, monstrous ship. Have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.